This is what real nanotechnology looks like.
In Avengers Infinity War, Iron Man shows up in a way that looks incredibly cool. Tony Stark only needs to tap the reactor in his chest, and the Iron Man suit forms instantly, complete with all...
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I was literally just thinking about this. Imagine, like, bro, nanotech is like the next big thing after AI. I mean, we already have AI, but like, imagine the things like the people could do with nanotech. Medical nanobots, cancer destroying nanoparticles, like nanotech that could fucking kill like cancer or no more diseases and shit, killed like diseases before they even fucking form. Like, that'll be fucking crazy. That'll be fucking nuts, bro.
Where'd that come from?
It's NanoTech. You like it?
Yep. That's Tony Stark's nanotechnology. And we can all agree, what Tony Stark pulls off doesn't really make sense. But hey, it's a movie. Even so, nanotechnology itself already feels kind of insane in the real world.
Nanotechnology, making small stuff do big things. Pretty simple definition.
We are able now to, atom by atom, design new materials with designer functionalities.
At the same time, like, it would have to become some time. It would have to be some time, because if you really think about it, when nanotech comes out, a lot of jobs are going to be lost. A lot of jobs are going to be lost. Like, when that day comes, then it's going to be a good and bad thing. So that would be interesting.
The game of science has different rules when you play it in the nanoscale.
Because once you're talking about nanotech, you're not dealing with normal sizes anymore. We're working at a scale so small, basically down at the atomic level. And at that scale, materials stop behaving the way we're used to in everyday life. Stuff doesn't behave like normal metal or solid materials anymore. The rules start to change, physics gets less intuitive, and things don't work the way we expect. That's why nanotechnology feels so unreal. So what actually is nanotechnology? Let's talk about it. This video is a continuation of Tony Stark's technology. In the previous videos, we already talked about the arc reactor and the new element Tony Stark created.
But the closest thing we have to a Tony Stark has to be Elon, because he's trying to put fucking chips in our brains and shit. So we're gonna be like damn near like a cyborg from fucking Teen Titans.
Now, we're moving into the final stage of his tech evolution, the nanotechnology. Do you remember the first Iron Man? Back then, if Tony wanted to suit up, he had to do it inside his base. Yeah, it looked cool, but it clearly wasn't practical. Then Iron Man 2 came along, and the tech started shrinking. The armor could be carried around in a suitcase. By Iron Man 3, the jump was obvious. Tony didn't even need the armor next to him anymore. He could just call it from a distance, and it would fly straight to him. But the peak of all this shows up in Avengers Infinity War. To suit up, Tony doesn't prepare anything. He just taps the reactor in his chest, and the armor forms instantly, fully assembled with all its laser weapons. Of course, the glowing effects are there to make it look cool.
That's actually insane.
It's NanoTech. You like it?
But if you look at Tony Stark's tech journey as a whole, there's a clear pattern in how technology evolves. It's all about making humans move less, deal with less hassle, and get things done faster. And the clearest real-world example of this is the evolution of computers. When computers first showed up, they looked like this. They were so big, basically taking up a whole room. Then they shrank into machines you could place on a desk. Then they turned into laptops you could carry anywhere.
Yup, and then they turned into
today,
phones.
That same computer fits inside your pocket.
Now we got
as
them
a
as
smartphone.
watches and shit.
Computers kept getting more powerful while
Apple
getting
Watch.
smaller at the same time, mainly because transistors kept shrinking. Early transistors were huge, bulky, and tube-based. Over time, they evolved into much smaller components. And today, we know them as semiconductors. Inside a single semiconductor chip, there are billions of transistors packed together. As of 2025, the size of a transistor inside modern chips has already reached around 2 nanometers. And by
A nanometer. A nanometer is a unit of measurement for length, just as you have with meters and centimeters. A nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter. God damn. Word nano comes from the Greek word for dwarf. To understand nanotechnology, it is of vital importance to understand the nanoscale and what makes it unique from other metric scales. Nanotechnology works on the nanoscale, which is range from 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. A nanometer is a metric prefix and indicates a billionth of a part, 10 to the negative ninth power, there are 1 billion nanometers in a meter. What the fuck? All right, so this is a tennis ball, a period, and then we just get smaller and fucking smaller. Yeah, nanometer is small as fuck.
2027, it's expected to shrink even further, down to 1 nanometer. Just to give you a sense of scale, 1 nanometer is 1 meter divided by a billion.
But like, how the fuck do they build like that small and that degree? You know, they have to be using some AI tech to build the nanotech. You feel me? That's probably what it is.
Comparing 1 meter to 1 nanometer is like comparing the Earth to a marble.
Nano means 1 billionth. A nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter.
Or just imagine your own hair. It's about 100,000 nanometers thick, meaning to get to 1 nanometer, you'd have to split that hair 100,000 times. That's incredibly small, right? At this scale, we're no longer in the world of everyday objects. We're already touching the world of molecules or even atoms.
Undoubtedly, you can look at molecules and indeed atoms at that level.
And yeah, the transistors inside modern semiconductor chips are already a real-world example of nanotechnology. But that's not the only thing. There are also nanoparticles, which are a key idea behind Tony Stark's latest tech. Then there are self-assembling nanostructures, some of which literally look like venom when you see them under a microscope. And believe it or not, there's even something called a nanocar.
Oh, what? A nano car? Bro, this shit is insane. Now that you guys get the picture of how small fucking nanometer is, just fucking imagine like nanobots. Like, bro, you can literally become fucking immortal with nanotech. Like, imagine that like medical nanotech, like that just destroys every disease that's forming before it fucking forms in your body. Let's say you get stabbed by a knife. The nanotech in your body is just automatically gonna build the blood vessels back up and build the tissue. Bro, you're literally gonna be immortal. Like, imagine fucking clothing, like nano clothing. Bro, nano is literally gonna be the next big thing. Mark my words. But like, how do you price that, you know? Like, how the fuck do you price that shit? There's no way. You gotta be like a billionaire to buy nanotech. That shit is too valuable. Like, how cool would it be if I just had nano armor? Like fucking, like if I'm Iron Man, just, and then build a fucking exoskeleton, jump like 30 feet high and shit. We're basically gonna be like cyborgs. We're gonna have basically superpowers. Yeah, that shit is gonna be insane.
A car built at the molecular scale. Let's break them down one by one. Nanoparticles are a term in nanotechnology for materials that are broken down into extremely small pieces, usually in the range of 1 to 100 nanometers. At that size, a material can start behaving very differently from how it behaves at normal scale.
Materials reduced to nanosize can suddenly show very different properties than what they show on the macro scale.
An easy way to picture nanotechnology is to imagine building a large cube out of many tiny blocks. Those tiny blocks are the nanoparticles. Each nanoparticle block can have a different shape, can be round, square, or something else. But once they're all assembled and packed together, the final result is still one solid cube. And the size and shape of those tiny blocks, which are the nanoparticles, are what determine the material's final properties. This kind of nanoparticle engineering is already being applied in real life, especially in medicine.
We can load cancer drugs inside nanoparticles, and nanoparticles can function as the carrier and necessary equipment to bring the cancer drugs to the heart of the tumor. If we put these cancer drugs inside nanoparticles, they will not get washed out by the body because the nanoparticles are too big. And today, we have more than 10 clinically approved nanoparticles for cancer that are given.
Okay, so obviously we're ahead. We're way more ahead than I fucking thought. Bro, when are we gonna get this new update? Like, holy shit. Yeah, it's gonna be some time for this shit to be released to the public, because once we grab our hands on nanotech and we know how to tweak it and how to manipulate it, that's when shit's gonna get serious. Like, literally, that's when shit's gonna get serious.
To patients all over the world.
Now, from nanoparticles, we move one level deeper into something even stranger: self-assembly. As demonstrated by Rice University, carbon nanoparticles have been shown to link up with each other, forming cable-like networks that can conduct electricity, enough to even light up a bulb. This phenomenon is known as Tesla electrophoresis, where particles move and reorganize under the influence of an electric field generated by a Tesla coil.
That is, if you can get things to build themselves, just as in biology, we build ourselves.
This combination of nanoparticles and self-assembly is basically the core idea behind Tony Stark's latest technology. By simply touching the reactor in his chest, the nanoparticles inside are released and automatically assemble themselves into armor and weapons. Of course, this part is still fiction. In the real world, we're still limited by scale, control, complexity, and the amount of energy required to make something like that work. But the idea of particles moving on their own isn't actually strange at all. At the molecular level, particles are always moving randomly because of thermal energy. This motion is known as Brownian motion. And interestingly, it's this natural movement that made scientists start asking a question. If molecules can already move on their own, could we someday design molecules that don't move randomly, but in a controlled and predictable way?
Molecules all move all the time, right? It's a thing called Brownian motion. Molecules are all jiggling about all the time. The real question is, how do I control that?
That's where the idea of nanobots comes from. But it's important to be clear here. Nanobots in the real world aren't tiny robots with brains and engines. They're simply molecular structures designed to respond to specific forms of energy and move in ways we can predict. One of the most extreme examples of this idea is something called a nanocar. A nanocar isn't a vehicle in the usual sense. It's a single molecule designed to resemble a car, with parts that can rotate because of energy interactions at the atomic surface. There's even an official nanocar race, where research teams from different countries compete by designing their own molecular cars.
On this gold surface, you see some higher.
Oh yeah, parlays are about to get crazy. Where the fuck even is the racetrack? Like, what the fuck? A nano race?
Parts, and these are molecules on the surface. What we're gonna try to do now is to move these molecular assemblies in a certain direction, and this is what I'm gonna try to do.
We obviously can't see the race with our eyes, because the entire
Yeah,
track
that's
is
what
only
I thought
about
too. Like, how the fuck are you gonna record that?
nanometers long, thousands times thinner than a human hair. The race is observed using a scanning tunneling microscope, a specialized instrument that can image and manipulate objects at the atomic scale. And yeah, this is where nanotechnology starts to feel like science fiction, even though it's very much real. One thing we often forget is that nanotechnology isn't actually new. This concept has existed in nature long before humans even knew what atoms were. We just started noticing it recently, after we finally built tools that let us see this ultra-small world. Take geckos, for example. Every toe on a gecko's foot is covered with billions of tiny hair-like structures at the nanometer scale, called spatulae. These spatulae interact with molecules on a wall in a way that almost feels magnetic, which is why geckos can walk straight up walls. So when it comes to climbing walls, geckos are the real experts. Spider-Man doesn't even come close.
You know how humans, like, we see a bird and then we like mimic that, we make a plane. We see a whale and then we mimic that when we make a submarine. Like, it's gonna get to a point where we're just gonna like have superpowers. Like, literally, we're gonna be superhumans. And I don't even know if we're gonna make it there, to be honest, because you know everybody's in war right now. So let's just hope we make it there. Damn, I don't even know if we're gonna make it to GTA 6.
Break down just how insane gecko feet really are in another video, because their foot system has inspired a lot of real technologies used today. So nanotechnology isn't really a modern invention. It's a basic rule of nature. Humans are just starting to learn how to copy it. And when you zoom out, nanotechnology isn't about turning humans into Iron Man. Nanotechnology is about one simple but extreme idea: controlling matter at the smallest possible scale. At that level, size alone is enough to change a material's properties, its behavior, and even its function. Iron Man is still fiction. A suit forming out of someone's chest and turning into weapons isn't realistic, at least not yet. But the core idea isn't made up out of nowhere. The real world has been moving in the same direction for a long time, through transistors, nanoparticles, self-assembly, and molecular machines.